So Anne, thank you so much. It's been a privilege to work with you on this report, and I learned enormously because I didn't know anything about AI. And
That's
all I know,
true.
I learned with Anne and the commission that we had the pleasure to co-chair. So I will just say a few words. I was granted this. Maybe I will. I don't know if I should stand up or sit down.
As you prefer.
Maybe I will stand up.
Do you want to go to the stage?
I can go. I had the surprise of getting this prize this year. I did not expect it. I was sure I would not get it this year at least, and I was very surprised when the phone rang from Sweden on October 13. And they awarded the work that I did on growth through creative destruction. What we did with my colleague Peter Howitt, who is also co-winner of the prize, is to develop a Schumpeterian growth paradigm. And the paradigm rests on three main ideas. Long-run growth is driven by cumulative innovation, where each innovator builds upon previous innovations. You always stand on giant shoulders. Second idea, innovations are done by entrepreneurs that pursue innovation rents. If I innovate, I get some rents for a while because I have a better product or a cheaper way to produce. And it's the prospect of these rents that make me innovate. And the third idea is creative destruction. Old innovations displace, new innovation displace old technologies. New innovations make old technologies obsolete. And you see that at the heart of the growth process, there is a contradiction. On the one hand, you need innovation rents to motivate innovation activities. But on the other hand, yesterday's innovators are tempted to use their rents to prevent subsequent innovations because they don't want themselves to be subject to creative destruction. And managing market economy is really to manage this contradiction. So now, of course, AI is all about creative destruction. And each time you had a technological revolution, there's been the fear of mass unemployment in particular. When you had the steam engine revolution, the first industrial revolution in the 19th century, there was the fear, the Luddites movement, in England, because you had the workers destroying machines because they were concerned that machines would replace manpower. And when you had the electricity revolution, Keynes, the great economist Keynes, predicted mass unemployment, which should never happen. When you had the robots, there was the idea that you should tax robots because they would displace manpower. And with AI, there is even more of a fear of, existential risk that AI would make us all redundant and that we will lose our job. So I have a colleague who got the Nobel Prize last year, and I like him very much. We work together, but he's a very pessimistic person. He believes that AI has no growth potential. He believes that AI will massively destroy jobs without creating any. And other people are pessimistic on the environmental effect of AI. And what I would like today is to say that we are, with Anne, it was very much the gist of our report, we are cautiously optimistic. Voilà. We believe that, there is enormous potential, but we need the right policies and institutions to steer the technology in the right direction, you see? And that's the idea. On growth, why do we believe that, AI has growth potential? Because AI automates tasks not only in the production of goods and services, it makes it more productive to produce, but it also automates tasks in the production of ideas. Ideas become easier to find. Very often new ideas are recombination of old ideas, but with AI you can recombine much more. So you have many more possibilities, and then AI helps you select among these possibilities much faster. So you can find many new activities much more. So that's the growth potential of AI. Now, what can be the barrier is the lack of competition. when you had the IT revolution, you had the emergence of the superstar firms, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Walmart. Initially, they boosted growth in the US between 95 and 2005, but eventually they became so big, they discouraged new entry and new innovation. The fear with AI is that, for example, the cloud is dominated by Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, and a few firms, and the market for graphic processors is dominated by GPU. So the big fear with AI is that, again, those same superstar firms will somehow, inhibit new entry and new innovation. Very much the Schumpeterian conundrum that I was mentioning. So we need to harness the growth potential of AI. You need appropriate competition policy. And in the report, we mentioned various ways. Open source is very important. You also need the Digital Market Act that we have in Europe. You have to extend it to the whole value chain of AI, including the cloud. When you decide whether or not to allow a merger and acquisition, you should look at the effects it has on future entry and future innovation. And also regulating. It's important to regulate, but if you over-regulate, it becomes a barrier to entry, because the large incumbents, they know how to cope with the regulations, but the new entrants, they don't. So you have to have competition policy, and you need to have local computing power. So policy can help harness the growth potential of AI. It has potential, but it's incumbent on us to put in place the right competition and industrial policy to harness the growth potential of AI. When now it comes to jobs, of course AI will replace some tasks and will destroy some jobs. But on the other hand, there are two reasons to be optimistic, at least. First reason, firms that adopt AI, they become more productive, therefore more competitive. So the world demand for their products increases, and therefore they employ more. That's a productivity effect. And the other thing is that I told you, AI makes it easier to find new ideas. But new ideas, it's new activities. And that will create jobs. So AI has an enormous job creation potential. There will be job destruction and job creation. What do you need to deal with that? Denmark. I love Denmark. Denmark, they have the flex security system. When you lose your job in Denmark, for 2 years you get 90% of your salary. The state retrains you and helps you find a new job. If we have a good education system and on top of it a good flex security, that's the way they call it in Denmark system, a good labor market policy, you can harness the employment creation potential of AI and help people go through changing jobs. And that's, again, incumbent on us to put in place the flex security and the education policy. And I wanted to finish up with environment. We know that AI consumes a lot of energy. But I am looking currently at Veolia. Veolia is a big water company in France. And what Veolia does is that they use AI to manage the air system. To treat the used waters, you need aeration, you need air, and the thing is that you should concentrate aeration, the use of air system, on places or times where you have abundant inflows of water and or very polluted water. And what AI does is that it tells you when you should turn on and off the air system. And in fact, what's amazing with Veolia is that they managed to reduce CO2 emissions in purification stations by more than 6%. And the AI used for that was less than 1% of the energy savings. So they used some energy, but they saved much more energy than they used using that. More generally, I believe that AI will help us manage scarce resources and reproduce what Veolia does on a large scale. It's incumbent on us to make the right use of AI. But AI has also a huge environmental potential. And so what I want to say at the end is that, prosperity and future depends on technology and institutions. I am very optimistic on the technology. I am a bit less optimistic on the institutions. In France, for example, we may have a populist government in 18 months. I very much hope it won't happen. That would be disastrous for France. So my fear is not at all on the technology. My fear is that we will not be able to put the right institutions in place to harness the fantastic growth, employment, and environmental power of AI. But that's where I am cautiously optimistic, but I think we need to fight for we know that there are policies that can be put in place, and what you've done with the AI Summit was, I think, very important to lay out these policies that will allow us. And I wanted to say a last word about Europe. The US are very good, they are great. China, great. Europe, we have a fantastic potential. We have very good mathematicians, engineers, computer science. We need to put the right institutions. There is a Draghi report. Mario Draghi said, Europe is unable to use its fantastic research potential to make as many breakthrough innovations as it could. If we have a single market for goods and services, if we put in place the right financial ecosystem of innovation and the right industrial policy, I would include AI in the defense DARPA. We need to have a DARPA in Europe, and I would include AI in it. If we put in place this right mix, I think Europe has a fantastic power can play a central role in the AI revolution, and that's why I believe that there is a fantastic fight ahead of us. Thank you so much.